When you go looking for strength, it's not like a game. This journey doesn't have a real ending.
So we keep learning and adapting to be better. We've seen Street Fighter age throughout the years, introducing different mechanics and systems in every new title, from the Revenge Gauge in Ultra Street Fighter 4, the V system of Street Fighter 5, and now the new drive gauge of Street Fighter 6. The way to approach the match has changed with these systems as well. Some might say it has gotten incredibly aggressive as time went to, catering to evolving trends within the fighting game community. In SF5, you are often in these situations. Don't even try doing anything, or else you're low on health, so you have V-Trigger ready. She doesn't know she already lost the match. And I'm guessing you don't too. And we will show you why. We will show you why Street Fighter 6's drive gauge system is the best so far because of it. The answer is out there, so follow us because it's time to
hit the streets.
Street Fighter 6 is great. It's a visual upgrade for sure. Who wouldn't get excited over the various graffiti effects and the characters coming from? But we are not here for that. We're here for the combat and supposed increasing amounts of aggression. To understand the change, we need to look back at its predecessor, Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V Champion Edition gives the player a variety of options to express themselves in the game based on how they want to play. They can mix and match the options of different V-skills and V-triggers, which allows for limitless possibilities. But despite all of the various ways to play, why do most matches end up looking like this? Compare this to Street Fighter 6, where exchanges happen more often and one-sided fights don't look completely one-sided. This can be because of at least two things: the system and the options. The system. Remember the V-trigger? It allows characters to perform new moves when activated, but it needs to be charged. You can charge it by using your V-skill, getting hit, or blocking, which then allows you to go sicko mode. This is probably why people spend more time blocking as well. Blocking still carries a lot of risk, but the payoff is huge. Some characters have worse V-triggers than others, encouraging them to end the game before the enemy gets a chance to breathe with their own V-trigger. This is why the corner is a safe haven to some players who want to spend all their time blocking, and hell for those who don't. Unlike in SF6's drive system, most of the system's functionality is available to you at the start of the round, so there's no need to sit around waiting for it to get charged because you can go crazy immediately. You lose the uniqueness of each character's V-triggers and V-skills for the more universal mechanics and the options. Getting cornered and blocking all day is definitely a memorable SF5 experience, as some would say.
Well, it's not like it's any different in the new game.
True, but Street Fighter 6 has systems that make the corner dangerous against those who do nothing but defend, waiting for their meter to build up. Street Fighter 6 introduced the mobility of Drive Rush to catch the opponents by surprise and carry them to the corner as well. They also introduced Drive Impact to blow through their attacks and shove them right back. And if they hit the corner, they do this. This is more apparent when you make your opponent enter Burnout when their drive gauge runs out from constantly blocking. Burnout plus corner plus Drive Impact? That's a stun leading to a massive combo. Wait, hold up. We're back to the corner doing roughly the same thing, but not really. Here's how they're actually different. These two samples are doing the same interaction, but a different system allows for different possible results. This simple change is enough to drastically change how the game looks on the outside, meaning the defender has more opportunities to act now compared to before, changing the usual flow of the battle from "I've been blocking all day and I can't play at all" to "Wow, this match has been nothing but a messy scramble for control."
So you're understanding offense now, huh, kid? Here's a pop quiz for you then. Why is blocking so bad? Listen up, kid. I know it's easy to flail your arms around in a fight when given the chance, but stop and think for a second. Find their patterns, find their tendencies, and exploit their openings. Remember, opportunity only comes to those who are prepared.
It does sound unfair, especially when you've worked really hard to hold your ground. Ideally though, blocking is always a calculated risk. Being defensive should always have more consequences for everyone's sake, but between Street Fighter 5 and 6, their risk and reward ratio are different. SF5's system would encourage you to block more to build V-triggers so you can rely on this mechanic as your own ticket for a huge comeback, which makes it interesting. The only problem here is that the different V-triggers in the game are not created equally. Some characters have great V-triggers where they would want to be defensive all game, waiting for you to open them up because they can afford it. Because they know once they activate their V-trigger, they'll have a higher chance of winning. The other characters though, despite getting a full V-trigger, would rather just use it on other functionalities like V-shift and V-reversal. because activating the V-trigger locks you out of these options with minimal reward because their V-trigger isn't as good. In Street Fighter V, they're always sacrificing one thing for another, which doesn't really allow for much experimentation and unique playstyles per character. In SF6, however, the drive gauge, the resource where you can access all of your offensive and defensive options, gets depleted when you block, forcing you to do something else or get bodied. How this can be better than SF5 is that since the drive gauge is universal, both fighters start the match on even footing, and there's no right way to start the match. Your opponent's options are the same as yours. The only wrong way is the one that gets you hit in the face first. So, when do I stop being free, you ask? You have to get washed before you get clean. Because if you want to have a defensive style with it being the best option there is, this is what it's going to look like. It would be miserable for the viewers and the players involved. No one will take the initiative since it's a risky thing to do, and the viewers are stuck at home watching two people sit in place. But SF6 deals with this problem by incentivizing control both through defensive and offensive means. Blocking a bunch of attacks will deplete your drive gauge. A drive reversal costs drive gauge. Parrying recovers some drive gauge, but missing a parry will simply deplete it. SF6 allows cornered players to turn things around immediately, but they still have to follow up with a counterattack or risk bigger consequences. You would have to learn when to take your turn in going in for the attack if you don't want to risk entering burnout where you can eat both chip damage and a massive combo when you get stunned. It is not entirely true that offense will be favored moving forward. People can avoid getting locked down into defending more often now. The interaction shown earlier is an example of that, but now there's a new demon on the horizon. That's a third of a second. The average human reaction time is 250. But is it better? Yes, definitely. The ways we have to deal with this overwhelming offense would be what the system allows, from our parries to our reversals. The moves being riskier overall allows players to trade more often instead of being locked down. This allows the match to ebb and flow more frequently on who is advantageous, allowing for a more dynamic match where it could be anyone's game without making anyone feel like they've been robbed of a win. Unlike before where you'll often get, "What do you mean I have to guess how to defend twice or else I lose? I was winning 5 seconds ago." The choice to make drive gauge universal and accessible immediately at the start of the round to all characters allows anyone to play how they like right off the bat. No need to wait until your tools are unlocked by some meter. The drive gauge being a universal mechanic tries to lower that inequality that came from SF5's V-triggers and V-skills. You wouldn't get "their drive gauge is better than mine" as much now since these options you get from the drive gauge are similar, or at least close to similar. It does this without sacrificing much of the depth and maybe even adding to the layer of mind games possible. Will he drive rush, drive impact, jump in, jump up, super parry, projectile? That's why this system is goated. It managed to outdo its predecessors, fixed previous mistakes, and took the best bits from them while adding its own unique flair to it. Have you played Street Fighter 6? Let us know your thoughts on the game so far. The new modern control scheme will usher in a new generation of fighters, so please let us know if you're one of them. And if you want us to talk about that as well. If you like this video, leave a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. This is Game8 Information Station signing off.